Level 1, the favor. The envelope is already on the table when you sit down. Nobody mentions it. The restaurant is quiet, expensive without trying too hard. Soft lighting. A waiter who never looks directly at either of you. The man across from you talks about zoning permits while cutting his steak like this is just another boring civic conversation. Then he slides the envelope towards you. Not aggressively, just enough. You already know what's inside. You don't open it, you don't need to. The weight tells you everything. $10,000. Cash. You're only a junior council aide, barely 3 months into the job. Your salary barely covers rent and the car payment. You're still figuring out where the bathrooms are in City Hall. But tonight you learn the first rule. Nobody calls it corruption. He calls it support. He wants a construction permit pushed through faster than normal. Nothing illegal on paper, just expedited. You know someone in the planning office. A quiet word could make the file jump the queue. He keeps talking. About economic growth. About jobs. About how people like you are the future. You nod. You say the right things. But your hand keeps resting on the envelope. You tell yourself it's harmless. Everyone does this. Politics runs on favors. You're not stealing anything. You're not hurting anyone. You're just helping move paperwork. That's the story you choose. When you leave the restaurant, the envelope is inside your coat pocket. The cold night air feels different. Heavier. You drive home slowly. At a red light, you finally open it. 10 stacks. Clean bills. You feel a small tremor of adrenaline. And something else. Permission. The next morning, you make the phone call. The permit gets approved 3 days later. Nobody asks questions. Nobody investigates. But the man from the restaurant calls again. This time, he doesn't offer money. He says something else. Let me know when you're ready for the next step. You realize something important. You didn't just accept money. You joined a system. And now it knows your name, the useful one. 6 months later, you're the person people call. Not officially. Officially, you're still a low-ranking staffer, but unofficially, you're useful. Developers know you. Contractors know you. Lobbyists recognize you in hallways. They smile. They shake your hand like you're already important. You learn the second rule quickly. Corruption isn't about greed. It's about reliability. Anyone can take money, but only certain people can be trusted to deliver. So you deliver. You move paperwork. You bury inconvenient reports. You schedule meetings for the right people and forget to schedule them for the wrong ones. You don't make decisions yet. You influence them. The money gets bigger. 10,000 becomes 20. 20 becomes 50. Always cash. Always quiet. You buy a nicer apartment. You upgrade your car. Friends assume you got lucky with investments. You never correct them. But something else changes too. You stop feeling nervous. At first, every deal made your stomach tight. Now it feels routine. Normal. You start to understand the invisible economy of politics. Money, access, information, fear. Those are the real currencies. Not votes, not speeches, not laws. You begin collecting favors like chips in a casino. You help a contractor today. He owes you later. You help a union leader. He mobilizes voters when you need them. The system rewards people who understand leverage. And you're learning fast. A senior council member notices. One afternoon, he closes his office door. You ever thought about running for office? The question lands quietly, but you understand what it means. You're no longer just useful, you're promotable, and the system likes to promote people it already owns. You realize something important. You didn't just accept money, you joined a system, and now it knows your name. The candidate. The first campaign donation arrives before you even announce your run. $200,000. Wire transfer. A developer you helped last year. You stare at the campaign account screen for a long time. This is real money. Campaign money. Legal money. Mostly. You learn the third rule. Corruption gets easier when it hides inside legal structures. Donations. Consulting contracts. Ad buys. Fundraising dinners. Everything technically allowed. Everything quietly understood. You shake hands. You kiss babies. You give speeches about transparency and accountability. Crowds clap. You promise to fight corruption. Everyone in the room pretends that sentence means something. Behind the scenes, the real work happens. Fundraisers in private homes. Closed-door meetings. Late-night calls with people who financed your campaign. They don't ask for favors directly. They remind you of investments. You'll remember who helped you get here. You always say the same thing. Of course. Election night arrives. You win by 12 points. Your supporters cheer. Champagne flows. Cameras flash. But the real celebration happens later. A quiet room. 5 people. The biggest donors. One of them raises a glass. To a productive partnership. You smile. Because you know what comes next. Campaign debt. Political favors. Appointments. Contracts. Your signature now carries weight. And weight attracts money. The system just promoted you again. The operator. The first time you kill a bill, nobody sees it happen. The proposal would have regulated a chemical company. Publicly, it had strong support. Privately, it had a problem. The company gave you $600,000 during your campaign. You don't vote against the bill. That would look suspicious. Instead, you delay it. You request further study. You schedule hearings months apart. You quietly convince 2 committee members to abstain. The bill dies from exhaustion. No headlines. No scandal. Just silence. You learn the 4th rule. Real power is invisible. Anyone can vote yes or no. Operators control what gets voted on at all. Your phone never stops ringing. Lobbyists, donors, party leaders, journalists fishing for leaks. You start carrying 2 phones. One official, one real. Money flows through more sophisticated channels now. Consulting firms, foundations, speaking fees. You clear nearly $2 million in a year without a single payment touching your personal account directly. Your lifestyle changes. Bigger house, security cameras, a driver sometimes. But the psychological shift is bigger than the financial one. You stop seeing people as individuals. They become assets or threats. Every conversation has a hidden agenda. Every handshake has a price. You start measuring loyalty, not in words, in sacrifices. Who protects you when scandals appear? Who stays quiet? Who can be trusted with secrets? Politics stops feeling like public service. It starts feeling like organized power. And you're good at it. Very good. Which is why the party leadership calls you into a private meeting one night. They have a bigger role in mind. A leadership position. More influence. More control. But also something else. More responsibility for protecting the system. You accept before they finish explaining. The architect. You stop thinking in years. You start thinking in decades. Policies you design today will shape entire industries tomorrow. Energy. Infrastructure. Defense contracts. You sit in rooms where billion-dollar decisions are made in under 10 minutes. You learn the 6th rule. The biggest corruption isn't about stealing money. It's about designing the rules that decide who gets rich. A tax loophole here. A subsidy there. A regulatory delay that costs competitors millions. Entire markets shift because of language you add to legislation. Companies rise. Others collapse. Most citizens never notice. To them, it looks like economics. To you, it looks like architecture. Money becomes abstract now. You're worth tens of millions on paper. Investment funds, private equity, property trusts. None directly connected to your name. All perfectly legal, technically. But power brings new dangers. Intelligence agencies watch politicians at your level. Rival factions within your own party compete for influence. Every decision creates enemies. So you build defenses. You collect secrets, phone recordings, financial records, private scandals, insurance. If anyone tries to destroy you, you can destroy them too. That's how survival works here. Power is no longer about favors. It's about deterrence. And you're very hard to attack. Which is exactly why the next promotion arrives. A national leadership position. The kind that appears on television every night. The kind history books mention. The kind that turns you into something else entirely. The untouchable. You travel with security now. Motorcades. Armored vehicles. Crowds chanting your name. From the outside, it looks like victory. From the inside, it feels like confinement. You learn the 7th rule. The higher you rise, the smaller your world becomes. Your schedule is controlled. Your statements are scripted. Your allies are vetted. You rarely walk anywhere alone. But the real isolation is psychological. Nobody talks to you honestly anymore. Staff filter information. Advisors tell you what they think you want to hear. Supporters treat you like a symbol instead of a person. Enemies treat you like a target. You exist in a strange bubble of power and distance. Corruption still exists here. Of course it does. But it's quieter. More strategic. International deals. Defense contracts worth billions. Private meetings with corporate leaders and foreign officials. You shape global decisions now. Wars. Trade. Economic sanctions. Sometimes you sign documents that move billions of dollars in a single afternoon. You no longer count money. You count influence. But something else starts creeping into your mind. Consequences. Not legal consequences. Historical ones. You start wondering how history will describe you. Reformer. Leader. Or something darker. But by now it's too late to step back. The system that built you is too large. Too interconnected. Too dependent on your presence. You keep moving forward. Because that's the only direction left. And eventually you arrive at the final level. The ghost. The office is quiet at night. Too quiet. Most of the building empties by 9 p.m. But you stay later than everyone else. The city lights stretch across the windows like a silent ocean. This is the highest point in the system. Nobody above you. Nobody giving orders. You write the agenda. You shape the direction. You decide which crises matter. On paper, you're the most powerful person in the room, maybe in the country. But power at this level feels different. Heavier. Quieter. You rarely see money anymore. The deals are handled by intermediaries, foundations, think tanks, global investment groups. Your wealth is so distributed it barely feels real. What you notice instead is absence. Old friends disappeared years ago. Conversations are strategic. Trust is almost extinct. You walk through halls where portraits of past leaders stare down from the walls. Some were heroes. Some were villains. Most were both. You wonder how close you are to becoming a myth instead of a person, because that's what ultimate power does. It erases the human underneath. One night, you look through a security monitor in the lobby. A young staffer is waiting by the elevators. Nervous, holding a folder. You recognize the look. Ambition mixed with uncertainty. Someone new. Someone eager. Someone about to learn the rules. Your phone buzzes. A message from a lobbyist asking for a private dinner next week. You already know how that conversation will go. The same way it always does. You turn off the monitor and step away from the window. Because somewhere in the building, the cycle has already started again. A nervous young aide is about to sit at a quiet restaurant table. An envelope will slide across the surface. He'll hesitate. Just for a second. He thinks he understands the game. He doesn't. But he will.